My name is Ryan Squires. I am the GIS manager here at Legislative Technology Services Bureau, which is a service bureau of the Wisconsin legislature. We're going to be talking about WiseLR, which is the local redistricting software to be used in 2021 by local municipalities. This session is intended for municipal clerks and municipal staff and will be drawing at the municipal level. So this is a software training. We'll be talking about kind of the practical side of redistricting and how it's actually done. You certainly don't need any GIS knowledge whatsoever, or any kind of map knowledge whatsoever. I mean, other than just being able to use, if you can use Google Maps, you can use the system, and it's designed with that in mind, for the fact that most municipalities do not have a GIS person available to draw this stuff for them. So this system is designed for the non-map user to use. Okay, let's see. So the plan for today is to kind of go through some slides, kind of go through a high-level overview of the software and kind of the process of redistricting from a logistical point of view. And then we'll do a hands-on demo together. Okay, so what is WiseLR? This is the third iteration of WiseLR. This is completely rewritten again. It's a web application designed with state statutes and the local redistricting process in mind, especially for 2021. WiseLR means Wisconsin Shape Editor for local redistricting. You can, inside of the software, we're able to draft county supervisory plans, municipal ward plans, aldermanic plans. You'll be able to use the just released, we're the official recipients of the U.S. Census data, PL 94-171 data set, which is the what we were using to actually draw these plans. So that'll all be in the system with you, and be able to use it to create your supervisory wards and aldermanic plans. The system kind of works in two parts. One is the administrator side that lets you kind of see the timeline of the whole county and see where everyone in the municipality is, who your contacts are, kind of your dashboard for the entire redistricting project. And that's what redistricting is. It's a giant joint government project where you have to work with the partners in your county to make these plans work with each other. So it'll indicate when your plans are not aligning. If you haven't gone through the basic training of redistricting with the LRB's training, I'll kind of say quickly that redistricting isn't drawing lines on a piece of paper or arbitrarily, creating spots and areas. What you're doing is you're grouping U.S. Census blocks together. U.S. Census blocks are pieces of geography that are basically the size of a city block or a few farm fields if you're in rural areas, usually with 100 or less people in each one of them. And the process we're going to go through and what we're doing in the editor portion, the WiseLR editor, is basically grouping those wards together, blocks together to create wards or supervisory districts. Later on, we'll group wards together to make aldermanic districts. So this is just a paint by numbers color grouping project, basically. The dates you see here on this graphic are all purely for illustration purposes only. I'll use this opportunity to speak to the delay. Due to COVID, the U.S. Census just in the last couple of weeks has officially delayed the release of U.S. Census data for redistricting until at least after July 31st. So redistricting will not begin no matter what until at least August 1st. So all these time cycles, if you're familiar with local redistricting, there's three phases, each of them are 60 days. Those all get shifted forward in time. Instead of starting on April 1st, they'll start on at the earliest August 1st. But you still have your full 60 days to draw your municipal wards and full 60 days to draw supervisory districts, full 60 days to reconcile. So as I mentioned, there's three phases to redistricting. There's the first phase, 60 days, the release of PL 94-171 data by LTSB starts this clock. You have 60 days, the county does, to draft tentative supervisory districts. So you can see it in the illustration on the left. The start date was on February 2nd in this totally fictional world. So that means the due date would be on April 3rd for them to draft tentative supervisory districts. When a county does that and they submit it into the system, it will automatically email all the municipal clerks in the county to let them know that the county has finished and the clock has started now on the 60-day clock for municipalities to draw wards. So that 60-day clock is up to 60 days. So if the county only takes a day to create supervisory districts, that means the municipal wards will start on that day. It's just whenever the supervisory districts have to be done, that's when municipal wards start get drafting. So I guess once redistricting actually begins, everyone will get an email saying that the process has begun. Counties have started drafting supervisory districts. So you'll be aware that the process is going on, but you won't know your actual start window until the county finishes up, and then your start window begins for drawing for 60 days. You can enter the system anytime you want to draw and draft wards before that time, but your official window is that 60 days. Your job as municipalities is to create ward plans. Those wards do not have to align necessarily with what the county has drafted as their tentative supervisory districts. Generally, a ward has to fit within one supervisory district. So the county is going to draft a supervisory plan, and municipalities are supposed to make their best intents to make their wards align with those supervisory districts if possible, but they don't have to. And this is the time to disagree with them. So if you draw your wards in a way that they no longer, they don't match what was passed by the county, that's okay. But in stage 3, the next 60-day cycle, it's called reconciliation. That is where the county and the municipality will have to come to an agreement in some way about where the line should be. And someone would have to yield, either the municipality or the county, on where that line would actually be. Because eventually in reconciliation, every ward will have to nest perfectly within inside one supervisory district. So what you're seeing on your screen is the Wise Law Administrator. This is the dashboard. It'll kind of guide you through kind of what I'm explaining right now. These dates will update as people are submitting their plans in. You'll see those plans kind of coming up, and those dates will then change too, so we can keep an eye on them. So I talked about those first 1, 2, and 3 there, supervisory, municipal wards, and reconciliation. You might notice 2 extra, the confirmation of block lines and aldermanic districts. The confirmation of block lines is a step by the county land information officer to insert annexations and incorporations and dissolutions into the U.S. Census geography. As I mentioned, districting is not drawing lines arbitrarily, it's grouping together U.S. Census blocks because they're annotated with population demographic data. So what happens if that geometry, those polygons, don't perfectly fit within a municipality? That will definitely happen with annexations and incorporations. Every 6 months, as I mentioned, the county submits municipal boundaries to LTSB, and we have been passing those to the U.S. Census Bureau. So those blocks should be very aligned with what's in reality. However, the last time we were able to update the U.S. Census Bureau was January 1st of 2020. And so if we don't start redistricting until, let's say, August 1st of 2021, that's a year and 8 months of annexations and incorporations that have occurred in the state that won't be in the geography. So this is a spot where the land information officer will insert those incorporations, insert those annexations, reallocate population within those U.S. Census blocks where necessary to bring the system back into reality. So you're drawing on blocks that actually represent how municipalities actually work. So this is that confirmation of block boundaries menu. If you're curious with this section, I encourage you to speak to your land information officer, which is listed on this section, making sure that your annexations are going to be in the system. This is kind of what that process looks like, just so you're aware. They're coming at splitting blocks to accommodate an annexation that's missing, and then there's allocating the population demographics. So after the geometry is confirmed, drawing can begin. And first, of course, as I mentioned, is the drafting of supervisory districts. So this is when the county will come in and draw supervisory districts. They don't have to be anything similar to what they are today. They can be a different number of supervisors. I mean, that's whatever they want to do. There's a maximum number of supervisors they're allowed to have according to statute based on their total population. But in 60 days, they'll pass a tentative supervisory plan. And then that's when your job begins, municipal wards. So you can see here on the graphic on the left, our county was really efficient. They drafted supervisory districts in 1 day, February 2nd. They did the whole thing. So that means municipal wards, my 60 days that I have to deliver these wards to is now due April 3rd in this scenario. So February 2nd to April 3rd is what I have to draw. Any municipality that has more than 1,000 people will have to draw a plan. You have to divide into wards. Anybody who is divided by a supervisory district or legislative district will not have to draw wards at this point in stage 2, but in stage 3, you will. Or the county has to change their supervisory districts. So even if you have less than 1,000 people, You're not totally out of the woods for redistricting because the county could divide you with a supervisory district, or 10 years ago, the legislature drew legislative boundaries ahead of the locals, and they divided municipalities too that had to draw wards. So to be cognizant of the fact that it might come up again for you, even if you have less than 1,000 people. So that what we're looking at right now is actually one web page, and the right half is just clipped and pulled up here so we can see it all in one slide. But the way we do municipal wards when it's time to go is I go in, I'll select my municipality. So in this example, I'm the city of Ashland. I'll create a new plan or load an existing plan. An existing plan would be something I created previously. So I'll create a new plan to start, give it a plan name, something that's just for me. It's my, think about this as your document, your working document. This is just for you. Your email, so you can recover the data, or your password. And then a password just for yourself. This password is just for you as an individual for your plan, because everybody in your county is going to be using the same login into the system, so they can see each other's plans and how it works and share things. But your plan is private to you, so you need a password that only makes sense to just for your plan. So the right half of the screen is, as I mentioned on the bottom, actually lower. Actually, part of this is cut off, but the last option for creating a new plan, I'll show you on this slide. At the bottom there, you see a start with currently enacted. So that's an option at the ward level as well. So what that means is that I can start my plan as a blank plan. Which is everything's just assigned to 0, every block's assigned to nothing, and I have to assign everything. Or every block is assigned to what it currently is. How people approach it is totally up to them. You do not have to work off your existing wards. If you want to start from scratch and draw your ward from scratch, this is the time to do it. So you can start from a blank plan, you can start from an existing plan. A lot of municipalities have legacy wards that have always in place, and if they can just keep editing those and start from what they have already, that's fine. Or you can start a plan as something that somebody shared out. So later on, we'll show you how the sharing works. But if you create a plan you think is great and amazing, and you want everybody to start with what you've started, work from there, you can share your plan out, and they can start a plan as your plan. Or if you want to make a copy of a plan you've already made, you can do that as well. Okay, so the status priority here on the right is kind of showing how everybody in the county is doing in the process. Stage 2, the whole county, every municipality in the county is responsible together as a group, statutorily, to getting this thing done in 60 days. And in stage 2, everybody who has over 1,000 people is part of this group that has to get it done. So you can see right now, cities will fall into kind of 1 of 4 categories. The first, incomplete. You can see the town of Sanborn right there. They have over 1,000 people, and they have not submitted a plan yet, so they're incomplete. It's either complete there. The town of Morse, Jane Doe had submitted a plan. We can view it. So if I'm the county and I want to see what was passed by the town, I can click that plan and see it, view plan. If you're curious what your neighbors are doing, you can click it and view it. You can send that link for the view plan to other people outside the system who want to view what you've been working on or done. Then you'll see the city of Mellon there, which is in gray. It's not required. It's less than 1,000 people. But the town of Peaksville there is yellow. And the reason for that is that it's less than 1,000 people. So it's not required in stage 2. They definitely don't have to submit a plan right now if they don't want to. And by the way, everybody has the option of submitting plans and dividing into wards. So even if you have less than 1,000 people, and you want to divide into a ward, that's still possible. But the town of Peaksville there is yellow because what was passed in stage 1 by the county, the tentative supervisory district, must divide the town of Peaksville in some way. So they don't have to make a plan right now, but in stage 3, they're going to have to come up with some kind of understanding, either with the county changing their supervisory districts, or the town of Peaksville is going to have to create wards to accommodate the supervisory districts. So that's why it's in yellow, just so it's not required, but it's just being aware that it's going to be coming up. So time something to look at. So when everything that is required, which will be shown as incomplete, is marked as complete, it'll kick over to stage 3 automatically, which is reconciliation. If it does click over reconciliation and you want to go back and create a new plan back here, or you haven't created a plan yet, it doesn't close that off. You can still use the system to create plans and submit them and everything. It just moves you out of the statutory 60-day requirement zone, saying we've accomplished what we need to accomplish right now. We can move on to the next stage. And the last stage, of course, is reconciliation, which is the differences between any the conflicts, I should say, between the wards and the supervisory districts. So in our example here in the screenshot, it'll just show this is valid or invalid. The town of agenda there is green. I can see they did not submit anything, which means that the supervisory districts that were created probably wholly encapsulated the entire town of agenda, which is less than 1,000 people, so therefore doesn't need to plan it at all. It's fine. The whole township's just one big ward. Whereas the city of Ashland did create a ward plan of some kind, and it was passed, but it's showing red because the wards that were passed in some way conflict with what was passed by the county. So now at this point, either the county has to go back and resubmit, click on stage 1 up there, a new supervisory plan that now aligns with the city, or the city has to pass a new ward plan. Click on that number 2 there to go back, and they'll have to submit their own ward plan. So it now aligns with the supervisory districts. So one of them will have to yield or come to a compromise. I can see the town of Ashland again, same as town agenda. The village of Butternut, it looks like they did not submit a plan, which means they probably had less than 1,000 people, but they look like they have to submit a plan now, or the supervisory districts are going to have to change because they're showing invalid, meaning that they're being divided in some way by a supervisory district that was passed by the county. The last kind of phase is aldermanic districts. So supervisory districts and municipal wards, as I said, are created by grouping blocks together. Well, aldermanic districts are done by grouping wards. So once wards are created in stage 2, the municipality can go down to the aldermanic districts if they have aldermanic districts and start using the plan that was passed in stage 2 to create, I mean, those will be the new Lego pieces, the new pieces we're going to use to build aldermanic districts. The only caveat there is that if you start drawing in stage, while you're still in stage 2 in municipal wards, I pass a municipality, and then in stage 3, let's say there's a conflict and you end up having to change those wards, any plans you draw would be invalid because those underlying blocks of puzzle pieces have changed. So you have to start over again. But it's you'd be aware if there's a conflict once you start passing your plan in stage 2 anyway. So something to be aware of. But really, the time for when aldermanic plans can be drafted is anytime during that 3rd phase. So I've mentioned confirming and submitting plans a few times. So everybody, the land information officers, the county clerks, and municipal clerks have the ones with official roles in the process are all given individual unique identifiers. It can be emailed, automatically emailed to you. And we keep who municipal clerks are and that information from the Wisconsin Election Commission. But if you notice in some of these statuses, it says right now no contact on record, but in the real system, we have all your contact information. But if you see in there that it's wrong, let us know and we'll make sure to update it, because that's how you can connect to your confirmation code. But I'm the municipal clerk. I'm the one that decides after we pass this as a municipality, this is our final plan. I want to be the one that says, yes, this is it. I don't want my town board member to accidentally submit a plan that he just drafted by accident. So since you're all using the same system, this is just an identifier to say, yes, you are this role. You're the one that officially says this is the plan we have passed at the municipality in this stage. So on the upper right-hand side is the municipal wards example. You'd select the ward plan that you created that is the final one, the ordinance that was used to pass it at the town board or whatever. Then approve by name and email in case you have somebody else actually doing this for you. And then your confirmation code and click confirm plan. Once you do that, it'll update the system so the county can view it. Other people can view it's a publicly shared piece of geography now, so people can look at it and see where there might be any conflicts. So all that is just guiding us through the process. Editor is how we actually create these plans. So when we create a new plan, I hit create, or I loaded a plan, hit load. This is what's going to pop up. It's the editor. It's no more complicated than using Google Maps. Basically, there's just more layers of data, and there's an attribute table at the bottom. It's telling you a summary of how your districts are looking. So we'll go through this in kind of more detail when we do our kind of hands-on demo. So the attribute table at the bottom, every municipality is given a valid range within where its individual wards can be by population. So Large municipalities can have a larger range of population within that ward, and then they can have a larger population. This municipality, in this example, statutes dictate the total population of the municipality dictates that the valid range of my ward is 300 to 1,000 people. There are edge cases where that has to be exceeded in one way or the other. But I encourage you to consult with the Legislative Reference Bureau or your own attorneys about when that be allowed. There's certain circumstances where they are, so the system won't stop you if your plan is outside of the deviation or the valid range according to statute, but it is going to warn you in red that you are out of it. There's no requirement for those wards to be balanced. I mean, if you had a 300 person ward and a 1,000 person ward, that's fine. Wards are not election districts, so they don't have to be perfectly balanced together. The only reason the deviation column is in there is because some people do like to balance their wards, so it's just a tool for you to use. But the important column there is the valid range for municipalities. So the total population of municipality is the combination of your parts, even across county lines. So if you're a municipality that's split by a county line, it's the total population of your municipality that determines where you fall in that range. I'll also say that you'll notice that if my municipality is split into 2 counties, which one do I assign into? The reason why we kind of silo them into your county and municipality is because this is it's a concert dance between you as a municipality and the county. The one county might be faster than the other getting through stage 1. So when you're thinking about your municipality, you got to think about it in terms of this part of it in the county, and then I'm facing this way because I'm thinking about the supervisory district in this county. And then the other way, I'm thinking about the process and this time scale on this county, other county, and their supervisory district. So you'll have to log into both sides, and as a clerk, you'll get credentials for both, obviously, but they are purposely separate entities. So one of the columns you'll see in the attribute table is contiguity. Contiguity is required for wards, with the exception of municipal islands, basically, or town islands. In Wisconsin, we have municipal islands, and it's okay to have that municipal island, that piece of geography that's kind of by itself, away from municipality, as part of a ward that is part of the main bulk of the municipality. So even if it's just that one block that's kind of away, like a dump or something, something that's totally physically separate can be part of a ward that's part of the main municipality. That's allowed. So the contiguity won't understand that because it's a weird edge case. So the point is, I guess, that column isn't the end all be all legal. This is contiguous or not. There are, of course, GIS errors as well introduced because GIS is prone to a little margin of error. So don't take it as end all be all, but it's a good tool to help you. And one of the ways it can help you is when it becomes false, meaning the municipality, not every block is touching every block. That's what contiguous means. Every block is touching it in some way, sharing a boundary. So it's just one piece of geography. If you click on false, it'll zoom you to whatever piece is disconnected from the rest of the ward. So you can see what happens is people are editing and they'll accidentally click and grab a block they didn't mean to and might assign it to a wrong ward, or if they're working across, they might accidentally not grab one they meant they should have grabbed. So to help you kind of grab those guys out. The other geometric attribute you'll see on the table is compactness. This is less of a big deal for wards because they're not election districts, but you want to be conscious of it when you're thinking about aldermanic districts or supervisory districts and how your wards might affect that. A score is between 0 and 1, with 1 being the most compact. There's no definitive legal, this is the compactness score you should use. This is the actual measure of compactness. It's totally still being debated, I guess. That's the best way to put it. There's no one hard one that's been picked. But the 3 more popular ones are Polsby-Popper, Schwartzberg, and area convex hull ratio. And they all, again, score 0 to 1. And they're all measuring, basically, compactness. So this example for Polsby-Popper is the circumference of this circle is equal to the perimeter of that district being the original gerrymandered district from which the name comes. So the ratio between the area of that district then is compared to the area of that circle. So as you can tell, it's much smaller, so it's a little closer to 0. Whereas the Schwartzberg is the opposite, where the area of that circle is equal to the area of that district, and then a ratio between the perimeter of the polygon and the circumference of that circle are compared. Again, closer to 0. The last compactness measurement is the convex hull. So thinking back to elementary geometry, concave polygon is a polygon that has an indentation to it, like a C shape, whereas convex polygons have no indentations. So the ratio is between the area of the tightest convex polygon, think about a rubber band around the polygon that you can draw, compared to the area of the district itself. There's another tab you'll see on there is analysis. So this is kind of handy when comparing with your your supervisory district above you. So you can see in this example here, towards the top of the panel analysis there, you can see that like the Ashland City Ward of 3 is in Supervisory District 3, Supervisory District 4, Supervisory District 7. One ward can only exist in one supervisory district, but at this point, if I'm in stage 2, I'm drawing, that's fine. You can still pass it. It's just letting you know that there's a conflict there, so you're aware of it. So that's approved plan comparisons. And if you click on it, it'll zoom you to whatever part it is. So if I only have a couple blocks that are accidentally reaching over into the different supervisory district, it'll zoom you right to those couple blocks and say, here's where your conflict is. Summarized demographics is just a quick calculator, basically. It was a request actually by users in the pilot this summer that, hey, be quick and easy way for me to total up this kind of combination of wards here, what that means, so I can think about supervisory districts and aldermanic districts, just quick ways you can add things together, basically. Just enter the ward numbers you have. Overlay demographics is what you're seeing on the map, which is just a heat map overlay of any of the demographics in the data set. Just for reference. On the last tab is sharing plans. So the system is meant for you to create plans and then share those plans away. So share plan, if you click that, it makes your plan publicly visible. And it also opens up that public share URL, so that top URL right there. If you copied and pasted and gave that to somebody, they could see it. So if you have like a town board meeting and you want to draw and everyone wants to see what you're drawing, while you're drawing it, you could do that. So if I'm the drawer and everyone on my town board needs to look at it at the same time, I can send it all to them. They can click refresh. They can see the same attribute tables, the same analysis tools. They can see the same thing we just explained in Wiselaw Editor. It just doesn't have any edit tools. So it's just a read-only viewer. But they can view and look at things as you're drawing and see and give you feedback, maybe like on a group meeting or something. The private share is a URL that you can send off to someone if you're not ready to share it with the public yet. If you're working with someone privately, you can send it to them and then they can view the plan the same way. Export import, one export type that's turned off right now, which will be turned on, is export to map PDF. So it generates a map of the districts you just drew. It also exports block lists and GIS files. So if you have a GIS department, they can export things out of the system into GIS systems, and the GIS system can also import things into here too for you. Or you can import a different plan if you'd like to and overwrite what you have. Okay, so I think we're ready for some live demoing here. So again, your username is whatever your county name is. I'm going to be Grant County today. So my username is Grants, and then I'll enter my password. And here we are in Grant County. So I can see that that the county itself had created a supervisory district plan. They started, the districting must have started on February 8th. They only took a day to do it. Wow, they're amazing. So they passed a supervisory district plan. If I wanted to see what it looks like, I can click right here. We were all, as municipal clerks, emailed on February 9th to let us know that the supervisory district was passed and we can come in here and sign on in. So we're in the middle of our 60-day period right now. So I'm going to be the city of Platteville. I can load an existing plan, something I've made before. If I do that, I just need to enter my plan password. I forgot my password and click right there, and then an email gets sent to your email registered to this plan. Change the plan password or delete it. So I'm making a new plan. I'm going to say it is Thursday's plan. The ward count will default to the number of wards you currently have. And you can change this to whatever you want to, and you can also change the number of wards in the system later on. So this number is just basically a starting point. You can definitely edit that in the system later on. You're not stuck to this in any way. I'll enter my email address. Here we go. Enter a password that only I know. And then I have some options. I can start as a blank plan, everything's assigned to nothing. How the world is currently right now as of February 11th. So the geography is actually new, so we've translated to make a good approximation of where it is in reality. There might be some very small detailed differences, but generally it's a good translation straight over to where it is right now. Or I can start as a plan somebody else has shared. So I just start how they shared it. Or if it's something private, so this plan was not shared. This is something I created earlier. I don't want anybody else to know about it yet, but you know what? I made this plan. It's really great. I like how it looks, but I want to do a different version of it where it's slightly different. But I don't want to change my old plan. What I can do is I can just go out here and make a new plan and then start with that older one and then enter that password. So this is the password for my old plan, test 241. If I enter that plan password, I can start as that and then work from there. So it's a way you can duplicate the plans, I guess I should say. So for our example, I'm going to start as currently enacted. Click create. And there's the city of Platteville. So let me quickly turn some things off, municipal labels. Okay. So here's the city of Platteville. And I can only see the blocks then that are in the city of Platteville. It looks like we have 9 wards, and they all fall within the valid range, with the exception of my 9th ward down here with 20 people. And I can see that 9th ward down here with 20 people is a town island. And the reason for that I can see is because right here, this green line is what was approved in stage 1, which I happen to approve myself, which I know is what is existing right now. So the reason why Platteville probably chose to make this its own ward is because it's in a different supervisory district than the rest of the city. But hypothetically, let's say that the city was in the same supervisory district as this ward. This could be in Ward 8. It's allowed to be disconnected as long as it's not being divided by a legislative boundary or supervisory district. Okay, so the green line is what was approved in stage 1 by the county. I can turn that on if I want to, or keep it on. It's just for my reference, so I can see what they did. I know I'm turning that off actually. Okay, so let's go. I'll zoom in and we'll kind of go through some of the tools here. Okay, so upper left we have the identify tool. We can go here and click on any old block, and we can see the demographics for that block. We can pan around with the hand tool here. Refresh button just means that if these blocks are drawing kind of funny or something, just click refresh and it'll redraw the blocks. That can happen sometimes with GIS systems, so you kind of just have to refresh. The opacity, if you turn it all the way up to 100%, the colors will get real dark. They'll be more opaque, so you can't see through them. Whereas if you reduce it down a little bit, I can see through a little better. If I switch right here, I can switch to imagery, so I can see, okay, where is exactly this block? What is that? What is actually through this? So I can turn that off and on. And I'll put this back up to the default, which is 50%, so I can see through a little bit still. I can change which ward I'm drawing in by switching this number right here, or I can just click on the district down here. That'll also zoom to it. I can see right now, before I get into some more editing tools, that I have some non-contiguous spots. So I can go explore what those look like by clicking the false button right here. So it'll zoom to one of the non-contiguous blocks. So this is part of Ward 1, this block right here, and it's not contiguous from the rest of the ward. So I zoom back, you can see Ward 1's over here, and this is right here. If I throw on the approved districts, I'm assuming this right here is a supervisory district. It is, yeah. So that's why this was a different ward. But we don't have to worry about that right now, so we're starting from scratch kind of. So I can say, okay, what ward is this? This is Ward 8, I think. Memory serves me right. 8, yep. So I'll zoom in there. And I'll go to assignments. I'll change the ward number to 8. And here's my assign tool right here. This is pencil. Click unassign, I'll mark it to 0. Assign, I'll do whatever this ward is right here. I can change the color of the ward I'm assigning to if I wanted to change it to red so I can see that it's a little better. I can do that. I'll go ahead and I'll just draw a box or just click and it should assign it right away. And it'll update all my population stuff. I can still see I'm discontiguous. Clicking false again. There's another block over here that's not connected to the rest of me. There's me over here. So what ward is that part of? 3. So I'll change this to 3. Edit that guy. Hey, I'm contiguous now. Cool. So I can go around and kind of fix them that way. There's legacy reasons why they might not be connected, but we can fix those things now and see if we can work with the county to make it work with the supervisory districts they're passing. So we have unassigned, assign. This zooms to the district. This zooms to the entire municipality in this context. Undo last means it undoes the assignment I just did, up to 5 assignments. Jump to unassigned. So if you're starting from a blank slate, if anything's unassigned, it'll be assigned to 0. So it'll jump to whatever's unassigned. The system, as I mentioned, will let you pass plans that are out of the valid range. There's a lot of edge cases where this is allowed. It won't stop you, but it will stop you if a block is unassigned, because there's no purpose for, or no reason why every single block shouldn't have an assignment to a ward. And also shuffle colors. So shuffle colors is kind of handy if you're like me and kind of lose quickly differences between colors. And I don't care what color things are. Click shuffle colors and it'll just give everything a new color. So you can kind of flip through it quickly and be like, okay, I can see this a little better. Like right here, I might lose this in my eyes. So I'm going to go, okay, what, and then I can just change one thing. There, whatever. Ward assignments. So if I want to switch ward numbers, so if I zoom back a little bit here, I can see this is ward 2, this is ward 1. If I wanted 2 to be 1 and 1 to be 2, I can click switch. And now 1 is 2 and 2 is 1. If I wanted 2 and 1 to become the same ward, let's say I want 1 and 2 to become 2. So both, I merge this guy into this guy. I can click merge 1 into 2. So district assignments are merged. District left is assigned to district right. Click that. So nobody's assigned to district 1 now. Everyone's assigned in district 2. And maybe this is a strategy you want to do to redraw districts. Okay, I merge those two together. Now I can edit and draw for 1. And let me change my color here so I can see a little better. Maybe purple. And I can draw like this and say, okay, I want these guys. But let's say I want to make sure I don't touch ward 3. I can go over here to my right side of my screen and I have this lock column. If I click that and I draw and assign right here again, you can see I'm grabbing things that would be assigned in ward 3. I let go. It only assigns things in ward 1. It locks the assignments for ward 3. So I won't let you assign to it. It won't let you assign away from it. It just locks it in place. So it looks like I need a couple more blocks to bring ward 1 into compliance. And there, now it's 633. It's in my valid range. Great. Okay, so cleared plan is clears everything to 0. Toggle locks will turn all the locks on, all the locks off. So if you want to do, let's say, wipe out a plan, and this is how this can be useful is, okay, let's say I have these 9 wards and I want to try, I want to see what it looks like when I just merge that one block into ward 8. So that's what I'll do is I'll say, okay, 8. I'll do it through assignment. How about that? So I'll toggle all the locks on and I'll say, okay, everything I'm fine where it is, but I want to I want to make sure we mess with this guy. So I'm unlocking ward 9, clicking unassign. If I unassign, I can try to unassign everything, but it's only going to unassign ward 9 there. So it's unassigned to nothing. So you can see kind of an opaque white. And it'll say note 1 or more blocks were not assigned because they were locked, because all of them except for this one was locked. Now I want to actually assign that guy to ward 8. So I need to unlock ward 8 so I can assign to it. There we go. So now it's all one big ward. And then I'm going to reduce my count here. So I'm going to change 8 to. And the reason I can reduce it now is because nothing's assigned to ward 9. If I had something assigned there, it wouldn't let me reduce the ward count because it would say, well, you have something assigned to that ward. You need to reduce it to be able to reduce the number. Contiguity compactness, if you wanted to change just the algorithm it's using, you can just change it right here. It'll update the numbers automatically to whatever score, depending on which formula you're using. So that's all the assignment pane, I guess, everything you need to actually assign and create maps. And that's what's specific to the editor. The rest of this is available to everybody who's just viewing the plan. So if you share those viewer windows, I'll show you in a second, to people, they can see this stuff. So if they want to analyze and overlay things and see where conflicts are, they can do that. So let's turn on this supervisory districts, the ones that were approved again, in green. I can turn on other layers if I want to. I can turn on the existing ward and supervisory districts, the existing legislative districts, the existing congressional districts, and the school districts. School districts are from the Department of Public Instruction, who's been collecting them on a yearly basis now. So if I turn those on, I can just use them as a reference layer. It doesn't really affect Platteville because they're kind of in the center of their district here. But if your municipality lies on one of these boundaries, you might want to be cognizant of that when you're drawing your ward. If you have a GIS department and they have their own data they want to overlay in the system, you can talk to them about adding a map service or a feature service right here. They can label it, they can add whatever data you want to into the system so you can overlay it with the map while you're drawing. And then approved plan comparison. So I'm gonna click compare. And what this did is say that, okay, Ward 3 is in Supervisory District 10, but Ward 3 is also in Supervisory District 11. If I click on this row, so Ward 3 only right here exists in Supervisory District 10, so I'm aware of that. If I click right here, it zooms to the whole ward basically because the rest of it is in Supervisory District 11. I can see Ward 8 is in 3 supervisory districts. Right here is where it's in Supervisory District 10. Right here, basically most of it, is where it's in Supervisory District 13. And as expected, down here, ward only exists in Supervisory District 15 in this one block, I should say. Unassigned just gives you a summary of what's unassigned right now. Just a quick calculation. So if you're starting from scratch and you're kind of working your way across the municipality, you want to see what's left as far as demographics go or population, you can kind of see what's left quickly. The combination, so let me zoom back to this. It's just like a quick calculator. So if I'm like, okay, 5 and 6. So I altered 8 and 7. So what does that equal now? Is that for supervisory districts? Okay, well, what's 7, 8? Summarize. Okay, that's the population. Those are the demographics right now for 7 and 8. Okay, well, what does 1 through 3 look like? 1 through 3. Summarize that for me, please. And there they are. Okay, cool. Now we know what those are. So if you're thinking about aldermanic districts, you're thinking about grouping things for supervisory districts, you can play around with your numbers really quickly right here, and it's a quick little calculator. Overlay demographics is that heat map we showed you earlier. Let me zoom in here so we don't have to render so much at once. Right here, so it'll just show you kind of based on what the data where your spikes are. You can normalize by person. So if you're picking a specific race, you can see kind of actual areas where there might be more of a percentage of that race than other places. You can adjust the opacity right here. So if I can't quite see it through my blocks, I don't want to see it, I can ramp it up. You can see there's holes right here because there's 0 population in there. So if it's normalizing by people, it's a null, it's a 0 divided by 0 number. So it just shows as empty polygons. I can reduce that down to something less, more. I'll turn that off. So just kind of a handy way to find communities of interest, make sure that those are preserved. Share plan. So again, this is how I can click to share the plan with everybody who has access to WISE-LR right away. It also opens up this URL. Well, every time I click share, it changes this URL. So let's say I share the plan. I send it out to my town board. We all look at it. We're all looking at it together and sharing it. And I'm like, I need to change something. I can unshare the plan. It kills that old URL. And then you can do whatever you want to your plan. And then maybe you want to share it again. And then you can send the new URL out and say, okay, check this map out now. Whereas the private share URL is always the same for this plan. And you can go and send that to somebody and say, okay, I only want you, Susan, right now to see this plan. Here's the URL. Take a look and let me know what you think. Export and import. So as I mentioned before, these are just exporting as GIS files. There's one and here just turned off right now, which is create a map, export a PDF. It'll create just a PDF of basically your districts for kind of simply. So it'll email you a PDF map. Import shared plans. So these are all shared plans in my county for this municipality specifically, because I've been using it for examples. So they can import that in here if I want to, or they're currently enacted. All these columns are sortable. When you hover over a specific demographic, I can see like right here in Ward 2, 18% of people in the Asian column are in this ward, where 8.3% of people in the Hispanic column are in this ward right here. So you kind of see how it breaks down as you go around. I think that pretty much does it for the editor. The help document is in this upper left-hand corner. It's very well done, so highly recommend taking a look at it. When I want to return to WISLR admin, I just have to click this button right here. I can see back I'm in the city of Platteville. So, you know, this is a fictional spot, but so people have been approving and looking at plans here. So other people in my county, I can see that 44 of the 52 municipalities have an approved plan or less than 1,000 people. When it gets to 52 or 52, that's when the end of stage 2 happens. So let's say the plan I just made, I want to confirm it. We voted it in. This is the plan we're going to use. Here's the ordinance I created. We created the municipality that describes it. I am the clerk and I'm doing this myself, so I'll just enter in my information. Enter my unique code. And if I forget it, I can always click right here. And then confirm ward plan. Plan confirmed, and it's shared automatically. So, so I can see the village of Bagley here. They submitted a plan. If I wanted to view it, I can click right here. B-Town has not submitted a plan. There's nothing here, but they're not required to anyway. So no big deal. Let's keep scrolling down here. Boscobel submitted a plan. The town of Boscobel is not required to submit a plan. They have less than 1,000 people. However, just to be aware that what was passed in stage 1 does divide the town of Boscobel in some way. So they'll have to create a ward plan at the end of redistricting in stage 3 or right now, or the supervisory district plan needs to change in stage 1. Then, so the Cuba City here, city of Cuba City has more than 1,000 people, but have not created a plan yet. So this is incomplete. They need to come through and create one. I'm in the test system, as I mentioned. So there's no actual context in here, but if you're scrolling through your municipality on WISE Decade right now, and you notice that the municipal clerk is incorrect, let's let us know. We're going to be constantly updating this information. We get this data from the WEC, Wisconsin Election Commission. So we'll constantly be kept updating it. But if you notice it's wrong, let us know, because we want to make sure that you, the municipal clerk, are the person submitting things to us officially. So once all that gets, all the requirements are done, it'll kick over to stage 3, and then we can see kind of where everybody stacks up against the past plan in stage 1. So where does the stage 2 and stage 1 conflict? And we can see all those conflicts right here. So like that, my plan I passed in city of Platteville is right here. It's red because I did pass it. So it's green in here in this list because I passed it, and that's all I had to do. Let's scroll back over here. So see right here, it's green. I did it. I passed it. This is stage 2. It just has a little note here, just so you know, this conflicts with the supervisory plan, but that's fine. I can conflict with them. That's fine. It just notes that you're going to be having to deal with it though in stage 3. And if I wanted to view that plan, by the way, I can just click on this button right here, view plan. And you'll notice this is the plan viewer. It'll say viewer right here versus editor. And again, they have the exact same analysis labels and share options that you did in editor. They just can't change this plan in any way. But they can turn things off and see how things work and use the analysis tools or add overlays or whatever. So it's a good tool to share people for interactive map. Reconciliation, here we go. Okay, so once all of these can become reconciled, meaning that, okay, there's a problem, town of Boscobel, they have to, the municipal clerk will have to click on 2 here and put a plan for the town of Boscobel, or the county supervisor, the county clerk, the land information officer of the county has to come back and create a new supervisory plan that will align with the town of Boscobel's wishes, which is not to have a ward, it looks like, because they didn't pass a plan. They want to be wholly within a supervisory district. So let's see if they can do it. So one of the two entities will have to yield eventually, but right here's where that conflict is resolved. Once this all becomes green and everything looks valid, meaning that every ward is within one single supervisory district, the county clerk can enter their confirmation code in there to officially submit the supervisory districts and the wards to the legislature. Aldermanic districts. Once I've confirmed a plan in stage 2, I can start doing aldermanic plans anytime I want to. Just be aware that if City of Platteville's wards were to change, the plan I created here wouldn't be valid anymore because it doesn't align perfectly with the wards underneath it. So alder plans, kind of a similar deal here. I'm gonna do an alder example. You can't start as an existing plan, other than these are ones I've created before, so they're shared in the same versions, same version of wards, but you can't start as an existing plan because the wards you're drawing on have never existed before. So my email, same thing as before for advisory or ward plans. I'll start with blank plan. It starts with 10. I've put it as 10 alders, but I'm not sure if there's any alders at all in Platteville. So the main difference between drawing, as I mentioned, supervisory districts and wards is you're grouping blocks together, whereas in aldermanic districts, you're grouping wards together. So what I would do is I would turn on my approved wards. This is what I approved in the last session here, these orange boundaries. So I have to draw by the entire ward. So if I want to say, okay, Alder District 1, I want to start over here, this ward. So, okay, that's going to be where we start. Okay, it looks pretty good. But so any block I assign within that ward, all of the blocks in that ward will get assigned automatically. So we can always stay aligned with what's happening at the ward level. So aldermanic districts are just the same as far as approval process goes. Enter your confirmation code. This is actually incorrect. Now it's just anybody who has a common council. You can see who's not required and complete. This will always be not required or complete because there are many municipalities, it turns out, that do aldermanic districts that are less than 35,000. So,
Ryan, could you talk again about when these municipal clerks are going to anticipate to need to work on this in real life?
So in real life, the data has been delayed, as I mentioned, so it'll be after July 31st. So think about it as like an August 1st date. So it's a full 4 months after we were supposed to originally. As I mentioned, the county supervisor stage 1 could take anywhere between 0 and 60 days. You'll be alerted probably in August when redistricting will begin, and that begins when the U.S. Census Bureau delivers their data set to the state. So anywhere between 0 and, usually they take almost the full time. It depends on the county, and we're kind of in a weird cycle because we're delayed. So it's hard for me to say exactly, but I guess just be ready as soon as redistricting begins that your clock could start at that point, and then you have 60 days. So if you want to say, okay, it'll take a month and a half for them to finish, let's say, or a month to finish supervisory districts, that would put you in September, October for starting, and then you have to have it done by end of the year. Then reconciliation would be early in 2022. But again, that presupposes the data is even delivered in August. They won't give us a deliver by date. They will only give us a deliver after date to give you an idea of the kind of delay we're dealing with here. It's uncharted territory for the census to be late with this data. So they're trying to figure it out.
Thank you. All right, we have a couple questions here. Thank you for asking them. If 2 blocks are touching corner to corner, are they contiguous?
They are not. So corner to corner contiguity does not work in Wisconsin. You have to actually share a real actual border. Okay.
And how are jail inmates counted?
So they counted where they live, like in the jail itself. So they are counted in the jail block. You'll see the population of the prisoners in the block at the jail.
And that's a state by state case.
It is. Right. Some states have rules where they reallocate the population back to where they came from. Wisconsin, we do not have that. It's where they currently reside, which is in prison.
Speaking of like who to ask questions to, what type of questions should go to the Legislative Reference Bureau?
Anything with process, anything with legal questions, or any kind of if it's software, that's us, LTSB. If it's about actually logistics of drawing, the GIS things, anything else is probably for the LRB.
LRB put together a really good document for 2020 about redistricting, particularly starting on page 23.
Thank you very much for attending, and I really appreciate your time. Hopefully the software is useful and works well for you. Please let us know otherwise. We write the software ourselves, so if you have enhancements or ideas, please let us know. Always happy to hear about how it's working for you. Dan Bieroff, in the upper left-hand corner, is he's from the Applied Population Lab at the University of Wisconsin-Madison Extension Campus. So if you have questions about demography or communities of interest or the particulars of the U.S. Census data, he's a good resource for that. At the LRB contact is Joe Cry, upper right-hand corner. I highly recommend reaching out to him if you have any questions basically not related to software. The WC contact we have there is Greg Gruby. He's a good person to talk to if you're concerned about your election schedules.
Vicki, you have your hand up. Go for it.
Yes, I have a chunk of land that is not contiguous to the town. It's actually in the middle of it's in the river, which is still, but the city is annexed everything in between. So does that need its own ward, or can we add it to?
So that depends on if a supervisory district has drawn between that. So
Okay.
if the part is still within the same supervisory district, you can absolutely include it as part of the rest of the town.
Okay, so if a different ward is in the same supervisory district, then it could be added to that. Otherwise, it will need its own.
Yeah. So if there's a different ward that's in the same supervisory district as that block, you can add it to that. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
And again, you can start from scratch. People have been asking, hey, it'd be cool if I could merge this one block in. I've had it's a block by itself. Basically, it has its own ward. Can I merge that into a different ward right now? Yeah, this is the time to do it. I mean, you can start from scratch and start all over again. You don't have to keep anything you have right now on the ground. You can build the wards however you would like them. And then, in stage 3 is where that reconciliation between what the county has will have to begin. But it's your counter proposal, basically.
And if things come up later, as they likely will, you have all our contact information. We always have somebody monitoring our GIS inbox. So that is a very good way to get a hold of us as well.
Well, thank you again, everybody. Have a good day.